What's happening, folks out there? Broadcasting live to you and yours. You are watching or listening to another episode of the Game and Watch podcast. This is episode number 82. I'm your boy, Justin Reed, aka Too Tall for You Fool, or simply just Too Tall. I am joined once again by my main man, the F Man, RView Gaming OVG himself, Finest Dabs.
Yo, what's going on, people?
And our guest today from the Loading Bar podcast, we got Max.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Nice of you to join us today, Max. Today on the show, we have a lot to talk about. But first things first, before we get into it and dive into everything, just want to remind you that the Game and Watch podcast is a RView Gaming or OVG production. Make sure to listen to us or watch us on all our watchable or listening platforms. YouTube, Facebook, we're on there. Twitch, we're on there. And then also for listening pleasures, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, we are there. Become an official viewer of our Patreon. Definitely support us on Patreon. Any dollar or any type of money will make this show better for us, the host, and you, the listener. And last but not least, if you want to write us an email, please, just nothing super negative or anything. Game and Watch Podcast at gmail.com, and we'll read your emails on the air. Everything we're about to talk about today will be on our show notes. If you want to follow us on our social media platforms, whether it be as the Game and Watch Podcast or individually, it will also be on the show notes. So, with that out of the way, how's it been going, guys?
Who wants to go first? Is it Max? I mean, you're the new person. Bring it. Let us know.
Sure. Things have been going good. Very busy. Switching careers again and moving at the moment. So, yeah, just up and down all around. Writing when I
Nice.
can.
Yeah.
What's the career change for? Or just because? Or
So my background is in mental health, and
Okay.
at the moment, for my own personal mental health, we'll say, um, I'm looking at just trying my hand at some other things, some other interests. Cybersecurity. That's kind of what I'm looking towards at the moment. So yeah.
All right, very well, very well. And then F Man, how you been? How's is it getting hot again in the state of Arizona?
yeah. I mean, we're always fluctuating around this time. We got some rain this week, so it dropped down to like 65, and the next day was 90. But I mean, weather. What can you do? Let's see. No, I'm doing well. I bought a new couch, so instrumental to gaming if you're gaming on the couch. So I mean, yeah, it's comfortable as hell. Oh my gosh! And I'm not going to go into the whole horror story that I had with the previous couch because I bought another couch before this, and then I was like, oh no, this couch is not it. And it was like voted like the number one couch for 2021 as far as like being comfortable and looks and da da da. I got it. There was a metal, like a metal rust stain like on the couch. In addition to that, there was some like loose thread and stuff like that. And then the most important thing of all, we sat on it and it wasn't comfortable. And we're just like, okay,
Uh,
we got to get
that,
rid of it. It took a month to get rid of. Yeah, and the couch was huge, which was like we were happy about, but like
mm,
we had to box it all back up for them to take it back.
damn, that
And
sucks.
I mean, it was okay, but then it took them a month to come retrieve it, and I was like calling, and I'm just like, what is going on? They told me like within 3 days they would contact me to come pick out the couch. Like I waited 2 weeks for the first response, and then after that, like it was really bad. But anyway, have a brand new couch, another one that was custom made, and then
Custom made.
we ordered way back a month ago when after knew this couch wasn't going to work out, and then they literally made this couch and delivered it pretty much as soon as the other couch left. So it ended up all working out at the end. Other than that, family's good. Yeah, we're just last note. Just we're trying to figure out a name for the new boy coming,
Oh
and
yeah.
me and my wife cannot get on the same page as far as names. She has one name stuck in her head, and I kind of regret letting it like go as long as it did in terms of like not like suggesting any other names, because now she's stuck on it, and yeah, she's not really good down for like anything else. So I may have to give in, but we won't tell her that.
All right. Well, yeah, we won't tell her that, but I'll give you a suggestion on a baby boy name. Justin's always a good one.
Oh,
Gotta have your own babies, bro. I mean, sorry.
Always like to make that joke with my friends, male or female. Like, hey, Justin's always a good name, but I've yet to have a friend who has named their child Justin. At least since I've known.
Justin's a hot name. I mean, that's why there's so many Justins out there already, man.
Yeah, I didn't think there was that many Justins out there when we were kids, but well, but as for me, family's good. Mental health awareness, not mental health, autism awareness month. So, I wore my blue yesterday when I went to work. Just on a personal note, my daughter is on the spectrum for, ASD. So, definitely autism awareness is very important. So I figured I'd throw that out there. And then otherwise, you know, just working, living, fooling around with OBS. So I've got some good streams coming. So if you follow me on any of my personal channels, Twitch, YouTube, whatever case may be, just look out for some streams of some current games and retro games.
If you put it out there, you can't back down, man. You got to get those streams out there. You just told the world.
Yeah, I'm going to get them out there. I'm going to get out there. Yeah, we'll be seeing some streams. But yeah, I got a new backdrop I designed, so I just want some feedback on that. But so I mean, I'm pretty excited about that. All right, so with that out of the way, what are we playing? Oh yeah, Max. Why don't we start with you, man? I know you told us in our Discord, man. So you gotta come with it. What did you do? You beat a certain game. What game was that?
92 hours of my life have been put into Elden Ring, and I finally completed it. And I'm not even sure I completed it. Not 100% anyway.
Are you sure? Are you sure about that? 92 hours? I mean, that'd be enough time to complete any game, right? I mean, well, maybe not.
Well, it depends on like what your definition of completion is. Like, do you want to get all the weapons? Do you want to defeat all the bosses? Do you want all the armor? Do you want all the items? Like, that's the kind of, I guess, bar everybody has with these kinds of like the Souls type games, because you can beat the game, but then somebody else beats it, and it's like, well, did you get all the knives, all the throwing knives that you can get in the game? And it's like, well, but anyway, I'm happy with it. I beat it. It was a very somber ending. I was sad it was over. It was beautiful music, and it just in that final boss, it was just like some really like powerful sad music.
Okay.
It's like, this is great, this is epic, but this is the end. Thank you for playing. And it was like, man.
Did you shed a tear? I might have after 72 hours. I mean, not 92 hours. I'm sorry, 92 hours.
Playing a game that long, you have to have like some sentimental closing to it. I mean,
my sentimental closing is that I haven't started my New Game Plus yet. You're allowed to kind of go around still and like move around the map and like try to get anything you missed if you want to, but I just don't want to let it go. I don't want to start over again.
Oh yeah, I know that feeling.
Can you start back from an old save or anything, and just like instead of like beating the boss, like maybe just like go back and just experience like the rest of that world and what it has to offer?
Unfortunately, no. There's no save states for the game. You can complete it, and then you go into New Game Plus, which you get all your items, all your stats, everything. You play through the game any way you want, except bosses are harder.
Sounds like Metroid Dread.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, I mean, New Game Plus has been out there for a while. Yeah, I remember when that was like for like God of War. Like they have it for Spider-Man and they have it for Horizon. So yeah, it's just like that's a tough one. I don't know a lot of people that really go through the game a second time.
I wouldn't be able to. I couldn't do Metroid Dread a second time like that when they put out hard mode. The game was already hard as it was, so
Yeah, but with Elden Ring, well, like I think, well, most of these games, at least like with the ones I've played, like you continue with like all your stats and all your armor though.
Mm,
Mhm.
So you get to experience the game like right off the bat from with like just like powered up and leveled up and just really able to like, more or less dominate the field. But that's awesome. I'm so happy that you beat Elden Ring. That is encouraging because like I said, I've been telling them for weeks, like I'm gonna jump into that game after I beat Horizon Zero Dawn.
Mhm.
same here.
So yeah, but I'm about 50 hours in Horizon right now. I didn't get a lot of playtime this week, and so they're very much like that game is just like I know I'm probably gonna put 100 hours into this game, and then I'm gonna jump into Elden Ring and put somewhere around 100 hours also. So I'm a little scared of like the fatigue that might come from all that, but I'm also really really excited just seeing like just all the gameplay, just showering the internet.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you. I'm excited that you get to experience this totally fresh because I'll
Okay.
never get that again.
hmm
Yeah, I know for me, I'm still just on Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and it's just fun. I mean, I've already played the game years ago. I'm just trucking my time, taking my time, just going through the memories, doing a bunch of special bonus stuff that I didn't do when I first played it. Because I think when I first played it, I just wanted to get through the game just to do the story. Now I'm just kind of taking my time, but once I do finish it, I'm definitely jumping into Elden Ring next. So I mean, that's my spiel on what I've been playing. But I mean, compared to Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, at least those two games, I'm not going to get into Revelations. Assassin's Creed 2, I think, is more fun. That's why I think I like it a lot more. But I mean, Brotherhood, I will agree with Matt on this one. Brotherhood is a better game. Just quality of life changes, that sort of thing. You can different attacks. You can actually use assassins to kill your targets and stuff like that. So, I mean that kind of just makes it a whole lot better in terms of that. So, it kind of like the whole the Donkey Kong Country 2 effect. Donkey Kong Country, one of my favorite of the whole trilogy, but Donkey Kong Country 2 was the better game. So, I mean, just I think it kind of works like that with a lot of these. Just like the first one you play is just a lot. You just have more fun with, even though the second one is better. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I
Did
mean,
you ever pick up Gran Turismo
uh,
Tutel?
no, I did not.
Okay, I was just curious about that. Okay.
No, no, I didn't. I was going to, but once I saw what was going on with it, yeah, I had to back off. No.
And then I'm sorry, I'm kind of jumping back and forth. How far would you say you're in Assassin's Creed?
Brotherhood, I would say I'm about, in terms story wise, about halfway done with the game.
Halfway done with the game. Okay.
Maybe even a little more than half. I probably got maybe several hours left if I just play through it. But if I want to get everything, which I may just keep getting everything because I really want to just jump into Elden Ring after I've been hearing everything about it now. Just,
Mhm.
I mean, we'll see what happens. Just it depends, just really on how much time I have to. I didn't really have a whole lot of time this week. Work was kind of crazy, so fortunately, I had to do what you got to do. So just time was limited, but we'll get there. So
Nice. Let's see. I guess my turn. So in terms of games I've been playing, played a little bit of Horizon, but at the same time, and I spoke to this last week, I've been having some Horizon fatigue because
Horizon fatigue.
yeah, I mean it's not fatigue of Horizon. It's just very much like it's so reminiscent of the first game that like I'm experiencing it and I'm like loving the story and the side quest and everything, but it's like very much a better, more improved game, and it's just more of the same. Like there's nothing that's like blown my mind in terms of like battles or gameplay or story or anything yet so far. So I'm just like there's nothing that's really hooking me except for the attachment that I played the first game and I love the first game. So I'm playing through this game and I was just like, okay, I'm having FOMO. I was saying last week, Max, I was just like,
Yeah.
I want to be playing like all these other games that people are saying like are like wonderful and great games and are getting high scores and everyone's talking about. And I was like, man, okay, but I made a commitment to myself, which is almost torture. Like I was like, I don't know why I would tell myself this, to commit myself to one game. But
That's
I,
hard.
yeah, it is very hard, especially at this like time of the season, this time of the year where there hasn't been like, I really feel like there hasn't been a year in the like early months where it's been like this packed.
No
Um,
way. No way.
yeah.
No, not at
I know
all.
exactly how you feel because this during like the pandemic, like all
Mhm.
I would do was pick up games because stuff was just coming out and I was just buying
Yeah.
things.
Mhm.
I play like 20 minutes and then I'd be like, all right, when's the next one? Or like, and I would come back to it later. Not as interested.
Yeah.
You need to have like those breaks in between sometimes because you get caught up in this current of I need to be on top of what's coming out next.
Yep.
And until Elden Ring, it was bad. I'm Elden Ring has been my savior for that because it's the only game I've wanted to play.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, and I totally get that. That's how like I mean, I was like similar to Destiny. It was like there was nothing else I wanted to play. Like there was all these games coming out, and I was doing the same thing. I was picking up games, but um, yeah, I was just like, this is my go-to. Like this is my comfort food.
Mm.
But in terms of games that I'm playing right now, I did take a break. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pause this. And I'm actually playing a game that I did the for our other channel, our view gaming trailers. I picked up a game. Well, I can't say picked up. It's on Game Pass, called Young Souls, and I've
Yeah,
been
I saw
just
that.
yeah, I just been playing this game on Game Pass a little bit. I'm not like super far in. I'm on chapter 4, probably like a couple hours in, but like it's kind of bad because like I did a on the RView gaming trailers, like I did like a little synopsis based on the trailer, like what I felt the game was, and it's just like so different than what I was. Like essentially, it's a brawler. It's like a Castle Crasher start type of brawler where you're very much like you're very much side scrolling, just beat 'em up, and you have some of those RPG elements where like you're like leveling up your character. You're able to, if you have co-op in the game also, so there's up to 2 players, or you can, if you're playing one player, you can switch out your character to do like power attacks and stuff like that. And it's very much like a flash game. It just seems very much like a flash game, and it almost reminds me of something that's like was like made in Dreams,
Mm-hmm.
the PlayStation game, just because it's so it, it's just like it's so indie, and that's not like a negative or a derogatory term whatsoever. I
No, not at
absolutely
all.
actually I love it, just at like how kind of janky it is, like in the movement and in the gameplay, and it's not like this like huge triple A, like just like finely tuned like graphical display. It's very much like a fun game. The language in it is kind of funny. I know the developers, P2P, or I'm sorry, 1P 2P,
Mm-hmm.
1P, yeah, 2P, yeah, that's right. They're developers in France, and just like the translations that come in the game are just like not they're kind of like a little bit, I feel like a little bit off, just because like the language they use is just kind of weird. They'll be like, "Fuck this! I'm not doing this." But do you want to do this? Right? I don't know. It's really hard to explain. You just have to play the game and try it out. But that's all from me. I go play the game if you haven't had a chance to play. It's free on
Yeah,
Game Pass.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
that's really
definitely check it
good.
out. It looks real fun. I'll definitely check it out on Game Pass or wherever I can. All right, so definitely thanks for sharing, the games that we've been playing this week. So next up, the gaming news callouts. And we will start with some subscription services. Looks like they're all updated for the month of April. We'll go ahead and jump into Xbox Games Pass. As well, not so much Games Pass, games for with gold for April. And we got 4 games. Looks like they are Another Site, Hue, Outpost, Kaluki X, and then MX versus ATV Alive. Another Site is available right now until the 30th for $29.99. Hue available starting April 16th to May 15th for $14.99. Outpost Kaluki X is available now to the 15th, only $9.99. And then MX versus ATV Alive will be available starting April 16th through the 30th. Any of these games that people should, check out? I mean, some of these games are kind of old. MX versus ATV Alive, I know, is a bit of an older title. And any insights on these titles?
I'm not
I
an
would.
Xbox guy. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go for it.
I'm not an Xbox guy. I'm a PlayStation, Nintendo Switch owner. But kind of looking at the trailer for these four games, I would absolutely play three of them. I think Another Sight looks like great puzzle platforming fun with a cat.
Hmm.
um, I think Hugh looks like the best, like in my opinion, out of all of them.
You okay?
It's got really cool. I like the idea of like puzzle platforming where you change color to change the environment. Um, and then I'd play the motorsports game for sure because I
Yeah,
think I used to own
MX.
it.
Yeah, MX versus ATV Alive looks pretty fun. I definitely give that one a go. And Hugh looks very interesting also. And I'd give Another Site a shot. What about you, F?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you guys. In terms of like games, like yeah, these games are relatively pretty old. Probably not the best games. I mean, if you have gold, just go pay the extra $5 and get Ultimate. Game.
Yeah.
But Hue looks really cool. It reminds me of Guacamelee. In terms of like when he would like switch between worlds
Hmm.
in order to do those puzzle aspects of the game, and then also it reminds me of Limbo in terms of just that very silhouette type of vibe and
Mhm.
that platforming aspect. So yeah, I'd be interested in that one. I think that could be a lot of fun. Yeah, these other games I'm sure they're good games too. They just don't really speak to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. And also with Microsoft, they have announced that they are going to be coming out with a family plan for their Games Pass. That's got to be exciting, right? If you live in a household full of people, you can definitely save on Xbox Games Pass. What are your thoughts on that?
Uh, so we just talking to both of us? Okay. So
Yeah.
I guess I'll just take it away. So I
No
mean,
worries.
it's reportedly that they're coming
Yeah.
out with the family plan. I don't think it's confirmed, but
Yeah.
this is sources are saying
That's what
that.
sources are saying.
Yeah, that's what sources are saying. So I mean, yeah, I guess if you have like I don't know if you I guess if you have like multiple like that many family members that you need to like trade off if you don't want to alter your account personally. I guess that's fine. I don't think it's really necessary. If anything, like I just don't. I mean, we don't know how much they could be charging for this, but I just see it as another way to capitalize on what people are kind of already doing and sharing their Game Pass accounts.
Hmm.
And it's just a way for Microsoft to make more money. But that's me personally. That's just me being skeptical. But I guess time will tell.
Yeah, only time will tell. Max, you got any thoughts on that?
I think I would definitely buy into something like this. Probably not with my family, but like let's say you have a group of friends and you all play together online. It'd be pretty cool to like just kind of cycle out who pays for each month, and then everybody kind of cycles through having Game Pass all on the family plan. Assuming you all still stay friends too.
Yeah,
That's my
yeah,
optimistic side. So,
yeah. It would suck if you weren't friends no more. Then
mm.
someone will be getting kicked to the curb. All right, let's move on to what Nintendo has for the month of April, and well, I mean, it's not really just for April, but they've updated their NES and Super NES with three more titles. Finally, it's about time that we get some more of the two original, what's the base Nintendo Switch Online service, which we'll talk a little bit more about that service in a moment. But we got three games: Earthworm Jim 2 for the Super NES, Dig Dug 2 for the NES, and Mappy Land for the NES. At least they came out with a game that people have heard of, Earthworm Jim Finance. You remember that? You remember that back in
Yeah,
the day?
yeah. I used to love some Earthworm Jim.
Yeah.
That was that was just very much a game that I don't know the art style. It was very much supposed to be like a comedic game also.
Yeah. The
Which
cartoon show was funny.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like people don't realize, like even though Earthworm Jim like isn't relevant anymore whatsoever. It was a pretty hot game for back in the day, and yeah, I used to watch the cartoon, and I didn't have a Sega Genesis, which was so disappointing. But I always did want to play like the game more. Like I got to play it at my friend's house, and yeah, it was a fun platforming. I mean, like you got to use the gym, you got to use himself as a whip. Look, and if you're looking at the screen right now, like he just tried to make a lever, in order for the weight to fall down to the plank and like shoot him in the air, and yeah, and then it just broke, and he ended up calling a taxi. I mean, cla- classic humor. Yeah, just I don't know. Earthworm Jim was pretty cool back in the day. I wish they could have revived him to some degree.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
was popular on the N64 also. I'm not sure if
Mhm.
he was on the PlayStation. I'm not too. Would you would know? Yeah, that PS1. Did they have a Earthworm Jim on PlayStation or not? No.
no.
Yeah, so it was just really the N64 and SNES and Sega Genesis, I guess. But I mean, and then the other two games, they look better than the past releases, at least for the NES. That mouse game, Mappy Land looks all right. Looks like a pretty fun puzzle game platformer type of thing. Running away from cats. Then Dig Dug. I really haven't heard too much about that one, but I mean they look interesting, and I mean I would give them a go as a retro gamer myself, but it's better than some of the other. They look better than some of the other titles that they've put out in the past.
Oh, and I apologize real quickly. Earthworm Jim did come to the PlayStation. He
Okay,
came
it
out
did.
in '95, so he came out
Wow.
Oh,
pre me owning my PlayStation.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there was Earthworm Jim 64, so
Hmm.
and I think that was like the last we ever heard from him after that release. But I mean, I wish it was a game that it stayed around longer, and it was a hit in the mid '90s. Like they had the Saturday morning cartoon show and everything, and the games. And it was hot, but yeah, it hasn't been relevant in like over the last 20 years or so. So it sucks, but I mean, hopefully, maybe this could be a revival for it. You never know. All right, and then a little bit about the Nintendo Switch Online service. If you're familiar with the Nintendo Minute with Kit and Krista, who now they run a weekly podcast. Kit admits that he is frustrated with the Switch Online, and this is coming from a former Nintendo employee. So Nintendo should pay attention if a former employee is saying this. I have the quote right here of what he said. Well, there's several quotes, but I'm not going to read them all. But this is where I have an issue. I think giving people an indication of what the plan is helps. Like, how often am I going to be getting these? I think the initial NES and Super Nintendo games, those were awesome groups of games, but then everything after that has been kind of bad for the most part, and it became very inconsistent. So it's like, what are they basically done with this versus the stuff they dug up that I've never heard of? Yeah, so that's what I get worried about. Where they added N64 and Genesis, it's like, is this the plan? I almost have more confidence in Sega to deliver their best Genesis stuff than I do with the other platforms. So pretty much he's just saying that's just like they're just doing their best first party titles, and then they're giving you just junk like ice hockey. like seriously, like no one wants to play ice hockey. I mean, you have a better shot with Genesis giving you NHL '94 or something. I mean, come on, like, I
This
mean,
is
what?
Action 52 online. That's what I pay for.
I mean, it's just. I mean, you could talk about the service one way or another. I mean, the service, it's cheap, but it sucks, and we're going to get into more of that later on as our main discussion. But I will say they can be giving us some better games or even some more platforms. I mean, I think N64 was a good choice, but they could have given us Game Boy Advance or Game Boy. But who's to
Why?
say that they won't?
Why do they need to?
Yeah, of course. Why do they need to? These
If
people are not your friends.
yeah, they're not your friends. And if they can give you the least amount possible and you're going to pay for it, then what incentive do they have to give you more? Or what incentive do they have to make it better? I mean, everyone was in a little bit of uproar when the PlayStation Online expansion was announced, and they said, "Oh, we're going to make this better." And everyone's like, "Okay, Nintendo, here's my money." Like just okay, as long as you promise to make it better, what does that even mean? That's like
Mm,
that's like 5
I
years
mean,
ago. Nintendo said they were gonna make the Joy Cons better.
and they still
What
haven't, but
Yeah.
and it's on its
I
way to
mean,
probably being a.
supposedly they have, but they never detailed that they haven't. It took them like 7 lawsuits later and like five, like 4 years later to say like we have improved the Joy Cons, but no details how. Like it's just
Now that's
if
progress.
yeah, exactly right. Like
Yeah,
I mean,
very very good progress.
I mean, Nintendo has no incentive. They're selling Switches like crazy. The online system people are paying for, and they're making money hand over fist, and they're constantly the number one selling console, month over month. I mean, PlayStation and Xbox are jumping in there a little bit more often now, but more or less like Nintendo's still dominating. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Just
and let's be real, the Switch is probably going to be the 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 second greatest console to ever sell when it's all said and done. Supposedly, I mean, especially if it goes another 5 years. Hopefully, they make another iteration for it, but
yeah,
people are
they're gonna
buying
have
it.
to.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, they will have to. All right, enough Nintendo talk for now. April for PlayStation Plus. We'll just talk about these titles for now. We'll get into Sony's big news later on in the show. But what they got going on this month is for the PS5 and PS4, Hood Outlaws and Legends. For the PS4, SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. And also for the PS4, Slay the Spire. Um, I'm not gonna lie to you, I've not heard of any of these games. All I can tell you about SpongeBob is I'm not the biggest fan. I'm surprised he's still relevant with Nickelodeon these days. I mean, I think I was like middle school or high school when that show first came out, and for it to go this long, yeah, it's kind of knocking on the Simpsons door. So, but I mean, otherwise, I mean yeah, Hood Outlaws and Legends actually looks pretty good. Looking at this trailer here. So I mean, I still pay for PlayStation Plus, so I'll definitely get at least that game downloaded on into my library and play it when I run out of another million games to play. How
Mhm.
about you guys, Max?
Um, so SpongeBob is a definite for me.
Okay.
Nice.
um, just because I had this game for the original Xbox and I loved it. It's an amazing platformer. Um, definitely going to get it for free for the PlayStation Plus, absolutely. And then I'm kind of thinking I'd try out Slay the Spire. A lot of good things I've heard about that one. It seems to be like a dungeon crawler card game,
Hmm.
as far as I know. And then unfortunately, yeah, Hood Outlaws not really my thing. Doesn't really interest me all that much. Looks like bank robbing almost, but like obviously
Yeah, it's like
castles.
Robin Hood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. I can get into that, so that's like kind of right up my alley. So I think I'd have more fun with that than the other two games, but that's just
Mm.
me. How about you, F?
I mean, in terms of games, like SpongeBob SquarePants, like me and Henry can probably play that. My son can probably play that. So yeah, I can definitely see that. Actually, I think that game might be on Game Pass. Um,
You
actually,
can
no,
double check.
I think I'm 100% sure it's on Game Pass. I think I've already played it. So I don't think I'll be needing to pick that up. But yeah, Hood. I remember when that came out. That came out just last year, and the fact that and it didn't
Do very
really
well.
do
Mhm.
very well. Like I heard it's an okay game. Um, didn't hear very good things about it though. In the most part, Slay the Spire though, yeah, is a roguelike card builder game, which came out to excellent reviews. And people said like if even if you've like never played a card game, like that's the game you want to play in order to get into it. I love roguelikes. So roguelikes and roguelites. So yeah, like that. I mean, Slay the Spire could be right up my alley. I'm not really fond of deck builder games and stuff like that, but yeah, if I'm gonna get it for free, then I mean, there's
Why not?
yeah,
Yeah,
there's no
exactly.
yeah, there's no reason. There's nothing stopping me at that point. So yeah, I can see myself. I'll definitely add that to my library. Of course, I'm not going to play that right now, but
Yeah.
yeah, definitely adding that one to my library. And then SpongeBob, I'll probably add that to my library also, just in case it leaves Game Pass. At least I could download it on my PlayStation.
All right. Well, another subscription service is coming, and this is a game subscription service. This game joins Fort Fortnite, Fallout first, yeah, Fortnite Crew, excuse me, and it's going to be called GTA Plus. So if Rockstar is finding a way to just make some more money, they they nailed it by adding their new subscription service. Uh, Joining the first month, you get $500,000 delivered automatically to your bank account. Um, there's a whole list of other things you can get here also. The auto shop located in La Mesa introduces an assortment of gameplay updates from Los Santos tuners. Three times GTA money, an RP on Hales, Special Works Race Series. It looks like they're giving you a lot of stuff here if you join the first month. Um, GTA Plus, a subscription service, grants players exclusive perks for $5.99 a month. Um, I mean, I know this is probably going to be a strong pass for me. I don't do game subscription services. I just want the DLC, whatever they're going to offer the DLC, and that's it. I don't do the whole microtransactions. I'm surprised Gran Turismo 7 hasn't gone this route just yet, but I mean, what do you guys thoughts on GTA Plus? Looks like it's launched on March 29th, so if you guys are interested, check it out.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
I'll take this one first. Yeah, I mean, I think this is just a natural evolution. I think us as consumers have really pushed Rockstar towards this implementing this in Grand Theft Auto 5. You know, just the way we engulfed GTA Online. You know, it just makes sense. Like we keep on diving into their content, buying shark cards and everything, and things like that. Well, now you can now instead of buying like a $100 shark card or a $50 shark card, you can just pay monthly, and then they'll give you all these free updates and free items and stuff like that. Even though all the good stuff is really for Xbox Series X players and PlayStation 5. Like if I was on PlayStation 4 or any other previous console, I would just not do it because
No,
just really like all the good stuff is for the next console generation.
yeah.
Um, but I think, and I really haven't heard this. I haven't heard it at all. But I think this is actually just a good indication. Sorry, indication. That's the wrong word.
Mm.
Basically, this is foreshadowing for Grand Theft Auto 6. Um, I think this is very much like them kind of testing the waters, seeing how this goes. And I think Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be a subscription based game, very similar to Fortnite. Fallout recently went to the subscription service. And yeah, I think this is really just them testing the waters. I think it's going to be like an easy transition. It's like, oh, you already have your subscription service for 5. Well, that's going to carry over to 6 somewhere, or you can just move it over to Grand Theft Auto 6 and continue your subscription, and you'll get all these exclusive benefits and things like that. Rather than doing like a season pass or anything, I think it's going to be more akin to just an MMORPG like
Mm.
WoW or things like that. So get ready, people. Called it here first when it
Yeah,
happens.
yeah. This day, April 3rd, Finance calls it. GTA 6 will be a subscription service.
Write it down.
Write it down. We'll put it on our bulletin board or post it. What about you, Max? You in any of the GTA games?
Not a big fan of the GTA games, though. I do think that this, much like Fina said, like this is the natural progression of where Rockstar should take this or is going to take this. I noticed you mentioned it's similar to RPG or MMORPGs. Like GTA is essentially the modern day like MMORPG. I think it's
Agreed.
incredibly successful. There's role play. There's you can do whatever you want. Like I don't know. Like I see this going over very well with fans for the most part. Great incentives. And you know what? If you cancel your subscription, one question would be, do you get to keep everything after the first
Ooh.
month? I mean, you're not going to be getting 500K monthly, but you might be able to keep all the clothes and the cars and
I would hope.
the other extra bits. So
I sure would hope if you can. I mean, yeah, that would be pretty tough if you wouldn't be able to keep everything. But
mhm.
it's interesting to see GTA Plus. Just we'll keep it.
Oh wait,
We'll
wait, well,
say,
you can't dip without giving us your thoughts.
Mhm.
ah,
You just trying to exit out, trying to segue off to the next one. Have us do all the work over here. What's your opinion on this?
uh, Rockstar is great money makers. They know what they're doing, and it's definitely a cash grab. It's just another subscription service. It's the future. It's something I don't want to see, but it's happening. We'll probably start seeing it with more games in the not maybe not the coming months, but the coming years. So I mean, just get ready for it. I mean, a big series that you guys love. You'll probably be paying for it monthly. Like I wouldn't be surprised to say Call of Duty went this route. Or just like anything else like of that caliber. So,
You
but I
know?
mean,
Oh no, I'm sorry. Keep on going.
it's good for Rockstar. They know what they're doing. I mean, fans, or want them to do it, but they're kind of like in the same category as Nintendo. They don't have any incentive because they're making tons of money off this game that came out in what 2013 for the PS3 and the Xbox 360. What were you gonna say,
God.
Finest?
Oh, I was just gonna say, shoot, I think I forgot my thought. Um, oh, I was gonna say, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like a tie-in with Game Pass or PlayStation Plus. I know
Oh, yeah,
PlayStation, the new play. I know we're gonna talk about that later, but I know PlayStation has already had like exclusive offers with GTA 5, so I could very much see that relationship continuing on. And very much continuing to GTA 6, where you get a couple more perks or you get time exclusive perks. And then I can very much see that, possibly like blending into Game Pass also. But that's only if PlayStation or Xbox wants to pony up that money and pay Rockstar to have it. But I could see that happening too. Maybe not like the first year or right off the bat, but maybe a little bit down the line.
Do you ever get the sense that we're going to be old guys shaking our fists at these kids and their subscription services?
yes.
I'm already that guy. Like I am so, just because we did so much to abolish like cable services and all these
Yeah.
services where like we paid like these large sums of money to like and we basically were like, okay, I'm gonna pay, like we're gonna like basically like companies started like getting smart. They're like, well, if we just like let people pick what they're gonna give them, that gives them the choice. And now, like with so many companies and so many people doing subscription services, the choices are being very much like torn apart in terms of like, okay, this is not all going to be a Netflix. This is not all going to be here or there or the NFL package or whatever. Like it's not going to all be in one subscription service.
It's ridiculous.
So
Like,
you have to like, in order to get what you like, you have to be able to, or not be able to, but you have to pick up like 5 6 services to really get the things that you want. And you're like, it's almost to the point where it's like, okay, like now with my PlayStation Plus and now with my Xbox Game Pass and now with my Netflix and my Hulu and my just like all these different services, it's like I'm almost paying a cable bill all over again. Now
yeah,
the only good part about it is I can leave and come back when I want to. and I think that's going to be like the main factor. Actually, but PlayStation I don't think is allowing that. PlayStation,
Mm-mm.
like, if you do the annually, it's or if you do the monthly, it's like the price. Oh,
Yeah, it
I know
goes up.
we're gonna get into this later,
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
won't
yeah,
dive into it now.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
um,
Start shaking our fists now.
Yeah.
I'm already shaking.
Wait,
Yeah,
wait,
I'm
wait,
already
wait,
that
wait.
guy.
Yeah, just hold up. Ease off, ease off, ease off. All right, let's get into another story. Let's talk some more of this Microsoft, Activision, Blizzard stuff. And looks like even though this was going to be reviewed by the Federal Trade Commission or FTC, um, four U.S. senators want them to definitely investigate because they have failed to protect the rights and dignity of their workers. These senators being Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Sheldon Whitehouse, and Cory Booker. Um, Here's a quote here. Workers at Activision Blizzard, following years of rampant sexual misconduct and discrimination and unfair labor practices, have led calls for greater transparency and accountability in the gaming industry, and we are deeply concerned that this acquisition could further disenfranchise these workers and prevent their voices from being heard. With I mean, I forget what the status is on that union that the group of workers at Activision were trying to do, but I do feel that they should dive deeper into it, not just the numbers and all that stuff, but just just from a union standpoint, are
Well,
these workers?
let me jump in real quick because
Mm,
Microsoft has already officially said that they won't block any unionization efforts.
okay,
So, like, they're good to go. Like, all they need to do is really decide if they want to move forward with it. Um, and that's just going to fall on the workers. So, for the FTC, or not the FTC, for the politicians to jump in and like be like, this needs to be reviewed. If this was the case, like, no company would be able to buy each other out or merge or acquire each other, because at this point, like, it's every company. Every company has some type of history, some type of dark past, some type of sexual misconduct, unfair business practices, or mistreatment of employees at this point. Um, you know, so I mean, the fact that they're getting involved into this, like I don't know. It seems like something else is really like leading that charge. I don't really feel like they really give two shits about the people within these companies or so forth. But yeah,
You think it potentially could be an image thing?
perhaps.
it definitely could be. I don't want to. I'm not going to dive into this too much more because I don't want to dive into politics. But
Yeah. No, of course.
yeah.
But yeah, but I mean, for me, it's just I think they do got to dive deeper into it if they really want to see just what's going on at these companies. But I mean, like you said, Finance, this has to be reviewed. I mean, if they weren't going to review it, then I think a lot of people would be scratching their heads, and then
I didn't say that. I'm
oh
sorry if there's misinterpretation right there.
oh
Um, so for it's already being reviewed.
yeah
But for the politicians to get involved, like, it's why, and it's not their place. And then for them to push for it is biased. Like, it's not their job, and it's not their place to review this, and it's the FTC's and the other departments. But the the way this merger is set up, it's a fair, square merger that doesn't need to be reviewed. Um, just if you're talking about, like, in terms of like what calls for review, the types of companies that merge, dependent on what they're looking to in order to like what they're looking to do, and the different types of divisions that merge, by that basis, this doesn't have to be reviewed. And the fact that, like, politicians are calling for it to be reviewed, that people are pushing for it, is just unfair biased in terms of companies. Yeah, maybe it may not be best for the industries and so forth, but Microsoft is these things were happening in Activision Blizzard prior to Microsoft acquisition. Microsoft has history of it in the past, but has progressively gotten better throughout the years based on what we've heard from the companies and developers within these companies. So Microsoft purchasing this company would only essentially give the opportunity to Microsoft to improve the company's culture and work practices, and then the politicians want to stop it. Like, I'm getting angry. I'm just gonna
All right, you're
I'm
getting
gonna drink my
angry.
water.
Yeah, well, if you're getting angry, that's not a good thing. You don't want to make Finance angry. We
Mm.
will move on. We'll move on to some news that might make him angry. Well, he doesn't own a Switch, so it may not make him that angry, but
The Nintendo pisses me off too.
yeah. All right. So if you're a Zelda fan, uh, the
Nope.
Breath of the Wild 2 sequel delayed. A delay alert. We got to get like a delay alert or something. But we all see this coming. This was going to get delayed. This doesn't even have a title yet. They're just keep calling it the sequel to Breath of the Wild. But yeah, it's getting delayed, and maybe this year it might win the award at the Game Awards since Elden Ring finally came out. So I guess they put out a video saying that, well, they put out a quote here. We previously announced that we are aiming for a 2022 release for this game. However, we have decided to extend our development time a bit and change the release date to spring 2023. For those of you who have been looking forward to release this year, we apologize. So, and this is a game that's been announced since what, E3 2019 to the looks of it. And I mean, I know there are probably some mad Zelda fans out there, and I mean, don't you want a game that's working great instead of something that's coming out broken? That's what I will always say. I mean, I know delays suck, but that's the realistically, that's how you got to look at it. Anything you want to?
Sorry, 100%. I think delaying anything for the purposes of polishing up, especially a series like Zelda that people love. People grind their teeth in their sleep about it. Like, they love Zelda. Wouldn't you want that to be the best it can possibly be? Like,
No, I want it rushed, and I want it to be like Cyberpunk 2077 when that came out. Yeah, you would want it to be the best game it could be, and you know, Zelda, you know, Nintendo, arguably Nintendo's biggest franchise out there. Just yeah, I mean, I feel for the Zelda fans, but they're gonna have to play something else to hold them over. I'm sure they can find something, especially if they're a big Nintendo fans. I mean, Kirby just came out. I mean, I think Advance Wars will be out by the end of the year, so I mean, may have to wait a little longer on that one. So I mean, then they'll probably announce, Pokemon. We got that coming. They'll probably announce something later on this year. Maybe not through E3, but we're getting there. So not to ruin anything there. But uh, any thoughts on Zelda getting delayed?
Yeah. I mean, if you're a Zelda fan, like, if you're a true fan, you're used to this. Like, like this isn't anything new. Like, the fact that like they apologized and like came on and put out a video, that this is why I love like the Japanese culture, because it's just so unnecessary. Like, we understand COVID is happening. We understand that like the world is not the same. It's just funny to me because after the Breath of Wild came out, um, just having that foundation, I figured like the game would have came out in a couple years after, but I think, what are we going on, like 5-6 years like since this game has come
Yeah.
out. But I mean, yeah, like I like every Zelda game. Like, Kotaku put out a wonderful article, and they just went down like the history of like Zelda games and all the delays and everything. And there's only been one Zelda game that hasn't been delayed. So actually, there might be two. Yeah, there might be two. But yeah, this is expected. Like, this is I actually think that Nintendo saw our episode last week when we were talking about like this, like the state of Q1 and like all the games that are like yet to be announced and what the games we're excited for.
Mm.
Because I'm like, I'm surprised no one said Breath of the Wild. And yeah, they're like, oh yeah, dang it, they realize that this game is supposed to come out this year, so they moved it to next year.
Well, I'm not going to acknowledge it until they give it a true title. Now, whether that title is Breath of the Wild 2 or just some other title, I mean, we know a Zelda game is coming, so I mean, but I just like just give it a name already. But I've been hearing that if they do say the name, it would give away what the gameplay would be like or something
Yep.
like that.
Mhm.
I heard
Yep.
something along
That's
those
right.
lines. So I guess they really want this to be a surprise. So if they wanted to be a
Huh.
surprise,
I can tell you it's gonna have the word Zelda in it. So and, you know, like
How
everything
much
else.
do you know?
Yeah.
yeah. Hopefully, what they could do is maybe we'll get an announcement later on about a Link Between Worlds being ported to Switch.
Mm.
That was a great name for this 3DS. Do it, Nintendo. Do it. Do it.
Yeah. Nintendo imports. Yeah. That's all I have to say. Yeah.
Mm.
yeah.
Zelda is Zelda does nothing for me, and I think you and I have talked about this
yeah.
before, Justin. But
Yeah.
like, I would absolutely love a Switch port of Link's Awakening, or
Oh, yeah.
was that what it was?
No, a Link Between Worlds.
Yes, my bad.
Yeah.
Clearly, I'm a Zelda fan.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a good game.
I would say as the comparison came out a billion times already. Like most people, like there's a lot of people that were never Zelda fans, but Breath of the Wild was
hmm
the one that
Mhm.
changed that. So
Yeah, it's gotten bigger than ever. Let me tell you. All right. Speaking of games, we're gonna stay on the subject of games, and we're gonna talk about a game that just came out on PC, but it's also available on PS5 and Xbox Series X. It has a Metascore of 91, user score of 8.3, and that game is Crusader Kings 3. And if you guys were really waiting for Advance Wars, as we've talked about before on the show, that it got pushed back. I think this would be a great strategy game for people to get into. Definitely check it out. Watch the trailer, and just if you guys giving it a go, reach out, let us know. Um, so Crusader Kings 3. Any thoughts on this game?
I'd give it a play easily. I'm a big fan of strategy. I'm a big fan of knights, medieval, easily.
yeah, yeah, it's actually on Game Pass.
Oh,
so
It is on
so
Game Pass, yes.
yeah, like the game just came out last week, and I didn't know it was a day and date for Game Pass.
Mm,
So I'm definitely gonna give it a try. It just it just really blew my mind that that um that this game got like such just a high review score. It just really came out of left field for me. Like not that like I was anxious to play it or anything like that, but just the quality of games that are coming out this year. Everything is just like it seems like it's a high eight, like a 8.7 or above, like 8.7 to 10, or it's like a 90 out of 100, and yeah, it's going to be probably the best strategy game of the year, possibly. Maybe at the end of the year. I mean, who knows?
We'll talk more Game Awards later on, but yeah, so far there are a lot of just games in general, just for the Game Awards that we could probably think already. I know we talked about quarter one last year. We probably should have did an award show for just the games that came out in quarter one.
I mean, we definitely could. I mean, at this point, I feel like each one would take their own category.
Oh
Like
hell yeah!
this is like Age of Empires last year. Age of Empires, like it was like the only really like set strategy game like in its category last year. So they threw all those other weird games in its category, and it of course won. But I just very much like see this doing the same thing. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot for sure.
All right, for sure, definitely let us know. I know it's gonna. Hopefully, you get to it soon. With your
Not happening.
with your fatigue of a game that you're playing, Horizon Zero. Yeah. So another game we're going to talk about right now, Bioshock Infinite, is getting updates after 9 years of its release, and it's just how does a game just be out for that long and then all of a sudden they just start releasing stuff after 9 years? Well, I guess GTA they've been out what 9 years too, so
Hmm.
so I mean, but has this been like have they done anything like in recent years for it or just yeah,
like just the collection releases for other platforms.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the biggest thing.
Yeah, just the re-releases. Yeah. I mean, but we already know another Bioshock is in development.
mhm.
So, I mean, very much like updating the games could be, just in terms of like if people are playing these games, they still want them to play them in like in their absolutely best states. So I mean, I don't know, like it's it's an update. Like we talked about, it was either last week or the week before. Like Chrono Trigger got an update on the Android and PC, and that was after four. I mean, it's after 4 years, but I mean that game is a like a almost like a 20 something year old game. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I don't think it's too like strange that like BioShock got an update.
Here's what I suspect, or I'd love to suspect anyway. So in these collections, in the first game, they added extra tapes and they were developer interviews with Jeff Keighley.
Oh, they
So
were.
I think it'd be cool if with Bioshock 4 coming out, I think there's a potential television show coming out or a movie. Um, there could be hidden extra tapes throughout, was it Columbia in Bioshock Infinite? That'd be really cool. I'd be into that. I'd keep an eye out.
Yeah, I would too. And I mean, I mean, just in terms of updates, it really depends what the updates are. Some of these updates were life improvements and things like
Mhm.
that, like very, very minuscule ones to just make the games run a little bit better. But they also had reason to. I mean,
Mm.
if you think about it, a new console just came out,
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
Steam Deck. So
Oh yeah,
now,
the Steam Deck. Yeah.
one of those updates was so this game can be playable on the Steam Deck. So if you're already optimizing the game and for a handheld console, like you very much want to make improvements to the game. And if you're going to make it for just the Steam Deck, you might as well improve it across the board.
Mhm.
Fair enough. Yeah, that definitely. And then another game we're gonna get into right now, Apex Legends. Everyone's, I guess, the Fortnite for grown-ups. I guess I don't know,
Fortnite forgot, man.
Sure.
We just lost some listeners with that one.
That's good.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't think you should say that one.
I'll take
Yeah,
that
you're
back.
lucky. You're lucky Mark's not on here. Oh my
Oh yeah,
gosh.
yeah, yeah. Get well soon, Mark. All right. But yeah, yeah. Apex Legends. Uh, they are releasing the Warriors Collection event, which is going on, and they are finally moving their game to the new generations of consoles, the PS5 and the Xbox Series X or S. So if you want to play on the higher edition of consoles, you don't gotta do the backwards compatibility no more. You should be able to play, you know, in great 4K resolution on your new consoles if you guys play Apex Legends. So this is a good announcement for Apex Legends fans. Um, any thoughts, Max?
oh, love it. I'm,
Mhm.
I'm an adult who loves Apex Legends. No, I love this game. I love the support for it. Any sort of updates, anything like that, totally. Not a big fan of skins. I'm not somebody who kind of hops on those season passes or anything. But
Mm.
man, keep making Apex better and better, and I'll keep coming back. Like when I don't know what to play, I just jump in. You literally just jump in. It's beautiful.
It's your comfort game. One of
Yeah,
them. One of them.
yeah,
One
one of them.
of
That wasn't a believable. Yeah, that's like yeah,
them.
like but
Yeah, if
yeah.
there's something to play right now, I'll put it on. But
Yeah, that kind of really defeated my praise, didn't it?
um
Oh,
Yeah, no, I think that, I mean, we're going to see this with a lot of games, especially live service games. But I mean, Apex being the number two. I don't know if it's still number two. I mean, it was at one point the number two like live service game like behind Fortnite. Yeah, it was to be expected. I'm actually surprised it took this long. They knew Series X and PlayStation was going to be out for a while now, but yeah.
all right, and with that being said, with that last story, we are done with the gaming news call outs. Now we move on to our main discussions, and we start with something that was inevitable, at least for this year, and who knows if it'll be inevitable for years to come. But we're going to deep dive and we will talk about it. We will discuss. First news first, E3 2022 canceled. the digital version of the show that they're going to do too is also canceled. So no E3 this year, and they didn't do one in 2020. So 2021 was just digital. They were going to do digital this year, but it's canceled. And I'll just put in my 2 cents on what I think of this before I let you guys speak. I really hope that E3 does come back in some form or another, whether it be in person again. I mean, people are saying that, but it hasn't been confirmed. The ESA, I mean, hopefully they can figure it out with this event. I mean, we know it definitely just hasn't turned into what it used to be. I think COVID pretty much put its nail in the coffin, but I expect it to come back in some form. I want to see it come back, and I think it'll just be good for the industry. Now, what does this mean for the rest of the games coming out this year? It means I think you're going to be seeing more Nintendo Directs, more PlayStation State of Plays, more Xbox showcases, whatever they call them. I don't know what they call them. It's not my, but I mean, I think we'll be seeing more of that stuff and just random press conferences from third party developers and stuff like that. I know EA is still going to do their thing like they do around that time every summer. So um, it's kind of, I mean, Gamescom is still happening, so that's good news. So I mean, I thought it was kind of weird of Jeff Keighley to put out that tweet after they canceled the show, but I think I've spoken enough. If I think of anything later, I'll definitely chime in. Finest, I'll start with you, man. I mean, I know you've been wanting to go to E3 for life, and we finally did several years ago.
Yeah.
And now to hear this news that they just ain't doing it this year. I mean, what's running through your mind?
I mean, just into regards what you said earlier, like, we're going to be seeing like a lot more digital events and showcases. I mean, we're already there. So I think with that, I think a lot of people, a lot of developers, just have taken their IPs and what they're going to do, and really have created ways for them to funnel that information in different avenues that necessarily doesn't have to be E3. Um, we did hear that the ESA has already said that they're gonna essentially try to have an E3 again in summer of 2023, but of course we'll see. Um, you know, I just very much think that they were kind of late to the game in this one. I I just feel like with everyone still not in the midst of COVID. COVID's like very much like a thing, but it's kind of not a thing. At least a lot of places. Um, I just think that like people are just like, well, we're gonna go this route, and we're gonna go this route, and then we just we're E3 is not necessary for us. I don't know if the ESA is still charging for them to like showcase people's content and show developers content, because I mean that was the biggest issue at the physical E3. They would charge a exorbitant amount for those booths, just a crazy amount for those booths. And with them being all digital and them not being as relevant as they were, I don't know how that proposition works. If they still would have to pay the ESA in order for the ESA to show their content on their channel so it could be seen by multiple eyes. That could be the case. It might not be the case, but uh, I think it's just going to be. I think it's going to be just dependent really to the people and developers. I mean, the Game of the Year awards were bigger than they've ever been this
Yes,
last year. And then we
yes,
do have all these other physical shows in GamesCon and um, all these other shows that are starting to continue again. So it's just even less ways to really take the industry as a whole and keep it all at one event. Um,
it is.
and then with PlayStation backed out a couple years ago, Xbox backed out a couple years ago. They bought, Xbox bought the stadium, or I forget what the hall was next to it, but Xbox backed out a couple years ago. Um, you know, that's two of the biggest
Yeah,
like
yeah. Sony,
showcases
Sony
you
was
could
a
have.
big loss for him, and then
Mhm.
Nintendo's been doing the directs for years now,
Yeah.
and people laughed at him saying, "Hey, this isn't going to work," and look what everyone else is doing now. So I mean, sure, I mean they would still have the Nintendo Treehouse there, but it's not
Hmm.
like they're they were going to go over there and announce something. No, it was like watch
But
the direct on your phone or whatever.
Nintendo also had one of the biggest booths at E3 though, and the
Yeah,
reason being is because
yeah,
everyone wanted to be at that booth. I mean, do you remember the lines for that booth, Justin?
yeah. It was
Do you remember
enormous,
the line?
enormous. Just to play
Max,
Super Mario Odyssey.
Max. Yeah, we went the year Super Mario Odyssey went out, and the booth was huge. Like the
Whoa.
booth, like it wasn't even a booth; it was like a hall for itself. And so, like you're talking about, like maybe like what felt like half a football field was dedicated to Nintendo, and then you had I think the quote for the line was like 3 hours, but I think it was like
It
more about like
was
5 hours. And then they had like maybe like 40 stations, and you just couldn't get into the booth unless you wanted to
Wow.
spend half a day there.
or try cutting people, but no,
No, you couldn't cut anyone.
that wasn't
Yeah,
happening. But yeah, it's just
Jeez.
it was a very fun experience. I mean, for the gamers out there, if you haven't been to that or just any gaming convention or expo in general, I'd recommend going because they are fun. You know, regardless of if it's anime, retro gaming, a lot of fun events in a town near you happen. So definitely check them out. But I mean, with E3 though, I mean, it is the granddaddy of them all. It was very fun. I enjoyed myself, but I will say it was a lot of people, a lot of long wait times just to try out certain games. Some of them, like you had to get. I remember with the Destiny how we had to like use our phones finest to try to get reservation times to like try out to say the new
yeah,
Destiny DLC.
yeah. That
Like I
was
got lucky,
ridiculous.
yeah, I got lucky
Yeah,
with one of them, and then I think you got lucky with something else.
yeah. Placed the PlayStation booth for the Spider-Man showing. For the PS4 when Spider-Man was coming out,
Yeah,
they had a showing for that, and that was kind of weak. Like it was
yeah,
like literally like you sat in a room and watched a movie. So I mean, and that's actually a great point. Is actually, I mean, if they do come back, they need to revamp that entire thing if they're going to make it
yeah.
accessible to audiences and the public,
Mhm.
because the years that we did go, it was very much geared towards just to the industry, and it
It was the
was
first
not.
year that they opened it up to the public.
Yeah, it was not. They did not do anything except for sell tickets to the public, and so they did not. Nothing was changed in terms of like reservations and how things were done and being open to the public. So it was just kind of a madhouse.
Whoa.
A lot
So
of
if
pissed
they,
off writers.
yeah, 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 the journalists hated it. Like they were like you could not round a corner without hearing like someone from the industry just like talking crap about how they're having, because they had to wait in the same lines as the
Yeah,
as the public did, because like I said, the ESA didn't change anything, and they didn't really clarify how to the like the people within the industry how this was going to be sorted out and ran, so they didn't know how to prepare for it, and it was a rough situation altogether.
Mhm. Wow, your account of modern day E3 versus like when I read an episode and I'm like researching, oh, this was shown off at E3. It is just a press conference. You're
Yep.
talking 5 hour travel times and lineups. I can't even fathom that.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
why I think people
Man.
were mad, and I think like a lot of people went. It's just like just waiting in line 3 hours to try a video game. Like I'm not even getting on like a roller coaster ride. Like the many of them just felt like being at an amusement park. I mean, me, it's like I have my handhelds, whatever. I could play a game while I wait to play something new. But just I see both sides behind it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. But it wasn't built for an audience. It was
it
very much
really
like
wasn't.
it was built for networking.
Yeah,
And that was always like, if as a podcast now, if they
hmm
opened up E3, like we
we
were
going. We're going.
yeah, we're gonna go because it makes sense to build that network and talk to people
Mhm.
within the industry and people that do similar things and things like that. But as a just a consumer that like loves video games and it's a passion,
I wouldn't recommend it. That's just
yeah,
me.
it's
Mhm.
it's it's a tough sell. Even though it's like something you always look forward to growing up, there's plenty of different ways to really lend yourself to that and really enjoy that experience of gaming that
Mhm.
are much more suited, unless the ESA revamps E3, and I hope they do, and I
uh,
hope it comes back in 2023, and it is a show stopping event like it used to be, and they alleviate the lines or they create more like they lower the prices for developers and people to come in to have their booths. They open up more to indie games, and
Indie games would be a big one.
yeah, indie games would be huge because indie games were far and few in between there.
Hmm.
And by doing that, they give everyone the opportunity to maybe not wait in line for that massive like AAA game and really experience like all different parts of E3 and gaming. Yeah, build those connections, and in terms of consumers, like just learning about new IPs that maybe they didn't know about and would enjoy versus yeah, before they went to E3.
All right. With that being said, Max, I gotta ask: have you
Yeah.
been to like any gaming conventions on your side of town or anything?
Um, Not really gaming conventions. Like over here in Canada, we have kind of like a cavalcade of like popular culture, like Fan Expo. We have that's a big one. We have Calgary Expo here in Alberta, Edmonton Expo, and it's a mishmash of comics, gaming, anime, card games, but nothing like devoted specifically to gaming per se. Um, and definitely not any sort of press conferences of any kind.
Mhm.
We usually have to travel to the States if you want like we don't have like an equivalent to PAX, or we don't have like an equivalent to
Oh,
E3. So
okay.
as far as
Okay.
I
I
know.
figured. I figured I'd ask, but I know
Mhm.
like in my town, like I just recently went to the Southern California Gaming Expo, so I know they
Mhm.
do like expos like that. Some it's usually like more retro themed. So I mean, I just figured I'd ask, but
Mhm.
if you see something over there, let me know. Maybe I'll take a trip to Canada one of these days.
I
Sure.
mean,
Or you know what? And someone in the comments is probably going to tell me I'm totally wrong. Come to my town. Here's my game convention. So, look out for that.
yeah, I know I'll definitely let you know if I see that pop up. But I'm actually surprised by that because there's so many developers in Canada.
Mhm.
Versus like versus like Arizona, there's only some very small developers, like very very small.
Mhm.
None that I even know that have any published like anything worth noting. Um, but yeah, like Canada, there's a ton of developers in Canada.
Yeah, BioWare is down the street from my apartment.
Oh, there we
Oh,
go.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right, enough with the E3. Hopefully, they can get it together in 2023. Now, let's go to the even bigger news that was announced this week. Spartacus has been revealed, and looks like it's not going to be called PlayStation Spartacus. Thank God. Sony revamps PlayStation Plus, and it pretty much merges with PlayStation Now. um, So pretty much, we'll explain that a little bit. So they announced the three tiers that it's going to be. So PlayStation
Wait,
Plus.
I'm sorry. I'm
Uh,
sorry. It's here. It's here for you, Max.
oh yeah,
It's here.
I was gonna try
Thank
to,
you.
but yeah,
It's here.
just do it. Just announce it, fine. Let's announce it.
Go for
All
it.
right. So I'm gonna bring the comment up on screen so you guys can all view it yourselves.
Hi Autumn.
There we go. I don't know. Have you heard of this one?
I have not. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I knew someone somewhere would pick it up. Thank you.
All right. All right. So PlayStation Plus. So we'll just go into the tiers, and then after I do the tiers and the pricing, we'll just explain what we think of it. All right. So PlayStation Plus Essential is the first tier, which is pretty much the same thing as what we're getting right now.
Mhm.
2 monthly downloadable games. So it looks like they're going to reduce one, but well, let me just continue. Exclusive discounts, cloud storage for save games, online multiplayer access, and the pricing will be, at least for the US, $9.99, $9.99 a month, $24.99 quarterly, and $59.99 yearly. We go into PlayStation Plus Extra, which you get all the benefits of the Essential tier, and it adds a catalog of up to 400 of PS4 and PS5 games, including games from PlayStation Studios catalog and third-party publishers. Games in the extra tier are downloadable for play. Monthly, it will be $14.99. Quarterly, $39.99, yearly $99.99. And then there's PlayStation Premium. Provides all the benefits from essential and extra tiers, adds up to 340 additional games, PS3 games available via cloud streaming. We're going to talk about that. A catalog of classic games available in both streaming and download options from the original PlayStation, PS2, and PSP generations. Offers cloud streaming access for original PlayStation, PS2, PSP, PS4. Offered an extra and premium tiers in the markets where PlayStation Now is currently available. And customers can stream games using PS4 and PS5s and their PC. Uh, Time limited game trials will be offered in this tier so customers can try select games before they buy. Uh, the pricing for the US $17.99 monthly, $49.99 quarterly, and $120 for the year. So I know that was a lot. Um, Also, I guess a few games that will be available at the launch of the library will be Death Stranding, God of War, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, Mortal Kombat 11, and Returnal. Um, Finance, I know you have a lot. Let's start with you, man.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot I can go into. It's just for me personally, this is just it doesn't matter. For like I don't see the value of like doing I don't even know what it's called, the PlayStation like premium. I don't see the benefit of adding anything really, the PlayStation Essential or the PlayStation Extra. Just the whole naming convention first off is horrible,
Terrible.
but but even beyond that, it's just there's nothing essential, there's nothing extra, there's nothing premium to me personally. I rather if I'm gonna play these like old games, like I rather play that on my old consoles. I'd rather play that in via emulation. I prefer those routes. Just streaming games. Like if we're getting the same PlayStation now that we were previously, and we have to pay more for it, like we have to pay that much more for it, like basically
Yeah.
double the price. It that really doesn't mean anything to me. PlayStation already had demos where like you can play like demos like for free, and putting that behind a paywall really confuses me also. um I think my main thought in regards to all this, which I really wished like would have happened was, well, not wish would have happened. Just looking at this, and this is kind of like hindsight. I think this would have been hindsight for Sony too, with remote play like being such a big thing on this one, because you can remote play to your PC. In this and the remote play, I've used them remote play well, actually, that's the thing. Remote play is already accessible via PC, so I don't even know what that's not even extra benefit. You're not really getting much here. Like you're not getting, and I've been remote playing to my PC for a while, and it's not great either. And the
No,
delay
it's
and the
not.
lag is there, and I there's so much I can talk about, Justin. If you want to break it down or kind of streamline it, I can just ramble on about
Yeah.
all the
Okay.
issues I have with this.
All right. What I'll do is I'll go through just some of the issues that I'm seeing with this. But Max, why don't you speak your piece first, and then we'll ramble on about how they could have made this better.
Absolutely. And I may put on a tinfoil hat for this because I went down a bit of a rabbit hole with my thinking. But so I kind of touched upon this kind of like in the Discord a bit, but like my biggest issue with this is that we're taking another step away from physical media. It feels 400 games of PS4, PS5, and then like another 350 plus between the library of the PlayStation 3, PSP, PS1, PS2. Like it's great, but it's so overwhelming. And then it's like it's great you have these, but do you own these? What happens if they decide you don't actually own these. The same way you don't own the same films that you stream on Netflix or on Amazon Prime. Like you can rent them, you can watch them, you can view them, but you don't own this. And then you can't mod this. You can't play around with this. Some of the best game developers, gaming DLC, come from people who are inspired enough to take these games that they own and mod them. Like I'll give a shout out right now to, like, there's a Dark Souls one called, I think, Nightfall, and it looks super amazing, and it's just a bunch of fans who have their copy of a game that they want to add on to. You're not going to get that with streaming. You're not going to get that if you don't own this. You're going to get DMCA claimed, or you're going to get sued. Like, anyway, that's my rabbit hole. And then as a consumer, just looking at this, I agree. Like, there is nothing here for me. Like, I'm fine with my current subscription service. It's totally fine. Like, I don't want to overwhelm myself with that many games. I'm not going to like it as much. Do you watch every single movie that's on Netflix? No, you don't.
Nope.
Probably not.
No one does. Yeah.
No one can.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're a big movie buff, that'd be all you're doing.
But
Yeah.
then what
So
happens if that's with games? And then, like,
yeah.
you don't like games as much anymore because everything's at your fingertips.
Well, I mean, yeah, you do have a good point there. All right, so I'm
Tinfoil hat
gonna.
on.
I know for me, I mean, I'm just looking at the essential, so I guess I'll just stay there. I think it's a slap in the face to anyone who's just paying for the PlayStation now. I mean, I don't think the service is very good, but if that's all you're paying for to play, a bunch of old titles, I mean, you'd have to be pissed, right? Because they're essentially just raising the price on you to pay what, like 17.99 a month or 120 yearly just to do that. I don't think that's worth it at all. So, I mean, we're gonna talk about a few things. Let's start with PS3 cloud. I mean, they could easily emulate that. Well, maybe not easily. I mean, there's a YouTuber I follow, Modern Vintage Gamer. Definitely check him out if you guys get a chance. He put out a tweet saying that Sony can get the PlayStation 3 emulated on the PS5. They just don't want to invest the money to do it. That's essentially what the tweet said. So that I think is a big miss for the most part. It's kind of a slap in the face to that console generation. I mean, I know they've remastered a lot of the games that you can play on PS4 for that console, but there are some games like Sly Cooper and Infamous that are just stuck on there. They haven't moved them to the PS4 or anything. So I think that's a big loss. Catalog of classic games. Just so I mean,
Yeah.
what
I'll
are your
take it.
thoughts on that? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take it away right there. I mean, just so yeah, the cell processor, the infamous cell processor for the PS3. I mean, it is not easy to emulate for. Yes, very much Sony could pay so much money to really like invest in, you know, bringing that technology and having it emulated on the PS5. But just look at Microsoft. Microsoft has they dedicated like a full team and many years to backwards compatibility and bringing their games and even upresing them so they're in like higher fidelity, so they're playing like at 30 frames per second, some of them at 60. And that took many years, and they have since said like we're done. Like, and they reviewed thousands of games, and it took a lot of effort, and very much they said like, okay, like we've done what we could do. So yeah, Sony doesn't want to invest that money in a architecture that basically gave Microsoft the edge back in the day. Like, people did not want to develop for the PS3 because it was so difficult, because they were essentially like, here goes a new technology, we want you to learn it, and develop for it. And it was more difficult than anything else, even though there was the potential of higher and greater graphical fidelity. So yeah, I totally understand that PlayStation is very much doing cloud streaming with this, and I think that's fine. I honestly, I have like just thinking back to PS3 and just those games, like there's a lot of good games. Like there's a lot of great games, but realistically, how many people? And this is also goes back to the PS3 because
Hmm.
how many people are going to play those games realistically? Like a couple thousand,
Yeah.
maybe 10,000, maybe 50,000 in a community that just in a community that's millions. That's
Yeah.
like 100 million plus.
I see why they wanted to, break down the store, just last year along with the
Yeah,
Vita.
I mean,
Mhm.
it just makes sense. Like, yeah, it would have been a great thing, but even if that, like, even if they did make it download, like they did make PS3 games downloadable, so you're not cloud streaming it. Okay, like, would that have been enough for as a? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay, so my mic went out for real quick. I'm gonna just finish this point and then I have to leave and come back. But would that have been enough for most people to upgrade to the higher tier service? Like realistically,
Personally,
like
no.
you as a gamer, anyone watching, like would that have been enough for people to move up to the next tier? For me personally, I know as a gamer it would not have regardless.
No.
So me
Definitely not.
focusing on it and being like mad at Sony, shaking my fist, you know, it doesn't matter. Like it's not that it's not enough altogether. And I'm gonna go ahead and leave and come back so I can get my mic going again. But I'll be
All
right
right.
back.
All right, no
Sounds good.
worries. So yeah, this new PlayStation Plus is no Xbox Games Pass killer like many people were thinking it was going to be. If anything, it's more similar to what the Nintendo Switch Online service is
Oh,
kind of like.
absolutely.
At least the Nintendo Switch Online service is cheaper, and I mean they give you crap, so it's like, I mean at least you know what you're going to get with them,
That's
but.
true. They give you five good titles and then they drip feed you just like
Yeah, yeah. So I
ice
mean,
hockey.
yeah. I mean, $50 a year for that, and then it's just like you see like 120 for like seriously, like
Mhm.
I mean, it's just like I'm a little like maybe they could have did better. I mean, if I would have just rather just have them leave it the way it is personally, just leave PlayStation Now alone. I mean, I know the service has gotten better, but I'm just not sold on streaming my games like that from a service.
Nope.
Just no. I mean, it's just the technology, in my opinion, just hasn't gotten there yet. So until they do something, just I'm just not for it.
Sorry,
And then
I have a whole bunch more I want to say. So whenever you're
okay,
whenever you're ready.
yeah, go ahead, and then we'll read this quote from one of our viewers.
Okay. Let's see. So I just wanted to say, like, I don't want to be totally down on this. This is very much consolidating something that people didn't use. Like I was saying, like PlayStation's 100 million plus people. So, and I believe PlayStation Now, I think, was around like 3 million users, concurrent users, or somewhere around that. So them wrapping this into to PlayStation Plus, it does increase the value there. I really do. Even if they are raising the prices and creating more tiers, you do have the option just to pay one service rather than paying two separate services for one thing. Um, and then very much like Xbox when they came out with their service, when they came out with like games with gold or when they came out with Game Pass originally, that service has evolved a lot over the years. And with that service, you very much like it's just like it's not really about the first party games, and everyone is like saying like, oh, PlayStation, they're not bringing first party games to this. But the thing is, like, even though Xbox does bring one or two games, maybe a year to Xbox Game Pass that are first party, it I mean really, like, Xbox thrives on the third parties. Sony is selling like 20 million units of a single player game, charging $70 a month. Would they get that same value? Oh, Jim Ryan has already said it. They can't get that same value. They can't withhold the same production values if they were to put their first party titles day and date on a service like Game Pass. And they've even talked about like how Game Pass is not sustainable. PlayStation has crunching their numbers, And with Xbox paying all these developers to be on Game Pass for a short amount of time, I I'm just gonna leave it alone. But yeah, anyway, yeah, like it's not sustainable for Xbox unless they do like very high numbers. And then that's the way that's gonna really be sustained and everything. But yeah, like PlayStation is gonna get better. The PlayStation it doesn't suit PlayStation to just release everything day one and be like, here you go, here's the full kitchen sink. This is very much something at its infancy, and it's going to get better. And I think that's what you have to look forward to. Like this is the first step in the right direction in terms of what they're going to provide. Very much like Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely, it is a step in the right direction, and
Mhm.
hopefully it does get better. I mean, after we see it, it comes out this June. I don't think I said that earlier, but it is coming out in June, so that's when to look out for these three tiers. Like I said, my recommendation, if you're just paying for what you pay for right now, I would just stick to it. A couple quotes here from one of our viewers, Autumn. Um, she thinks that they are steering away users from physical game disc and pushing them towards an all digital platform, so that going forward, future consoles would be all digital only. So uh, I guess I can make a case there. I mean, yeah. And then she also thinks that the tiers allow PlayStation to make a large profit with their exclusive contracts, which is why we won't be seeing first party games on day one releases like Microsoft does. They ain't gonna do that. So um, with that being said, just I mean, I hope this. I Sony is pretty will listen to their fans. Like if they do something that fans don't like, they'll change it. Like the Vita and the PS3 store going out. I mean, they switched course on that quick. I mean, they're not like another company that we know of that doesn't really care too much about their fans. But I mean, like we said earlier on in the episode, these companies are not your friends at the end of the day. So
Nope.
they make a product that you want to consume, and all they really care about is just getting their cut and moving on. But I mean, there is so much here, and there's so much to just dissect in the coming months before June is almost here, so I'm sure people will be dissecting this more. But I guess it's just going to be called PlayStation Plus with the essential, the extra, and the premium. So, um, you got any final thoughts, Max, before we move into what's coming out for this week?
Um, Regarding PlayStation Plus, I'll stick with my first tier. I'm happy with it. I think if this is something that consumers want to check out, all power to you. But
I
yeah,
was
not for
also I
me.
was also a little sad to see that Vita didn't make the cut, but
Yeah,
yeah,
what's up with that?
yeah, Vita's just getting no love. I recently got a Vita too, but I guess the store's still open. Play some
For a
of those
little bit
exclusive,
longer.
yeah, for a little bit longer. I mean, they haven't announced that it's going away just yet, so
Mhm.
well, we'll see what happens. All right, the release rundown. We got some big titles coming out next week, so are you ready? Well, it's not a
Yep.
monster list, but I mean it's a list to say the least. Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga coming out April 5th, and that's going to be coming out on everything except for maybe Stadia, but PS5, PS4, Xbox Series of Systems, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. MLB The Show 2022, baseball fans out there. And that's also coming to just about everything but the PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series of Systems, um, Xbox One, and believe it or not, it is coming to the Switch. So you Switch fans that love baseball, you don't gotta settle for RBI baseball anymore. I had to put that out there because that's the only sports game they've had on there for at least baseball anyway. Chinatown Detective Agency, Xbox One, Switch and PC coming April 7th. Also coming April 7th is Chrono Cross Radical Dreamers Edition for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. If you have Xbox 5, Xbox Series, Xbox Series X or S, or the PS5, I'm sure you can play that game using backwards compatibility. Um, Godfall Ultimate Edition, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, and Xbox One and the PC coming April 7th. Sherlock Holmes, The Devil's Daughter, coming April 7th to the Nintendo Switch. Slipstream, coming to the PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and X, Xbox One, and the Switch, coming April 7th. And The House of the Dead remake, coming to the Switch April 7th. So, a lot of good games out here
Mhm.
coming next week. I guess we can start. I mean, I know Mark couldn't join us today. Hopefully, you're getting better, buddy. MLB The Show. Baseball season's about to start, and we have to talk about this. This is the last year. They MLB The Show went to Xbox for the first time. It went to another console. And now next year, the Switch pretty much follows suit. So that has to be like. So you're going to be buying the game. It's going to have the PlayStation logo on it, low key, on a Nintendo. Yeah, I mean, if you really think about it. Um, but I mean, I find that kind of cool. But would I recommend anyone buying this game on the Switch? Uh, that's a tough one. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, I guess it's better than the cloud gaming on the Switch, but I mean, it does better than like. I mean, hopefully it does better than WWE 2K20 or no, what was it, 2K19 on the Switch? Because that was pretty bad. And then, so yeah, but I mean, baseball season, games coming out, and just we are just looking forward to opening day playing ball. So that's gonna be a big one. Hopefully, we see that trailer for that in the upcoming episode of OVG trailers. So, any games you're looking forward to that's coming out this week, Max?
House of the Dead remake. It'd be nice to play this game without, breaking the bank for once in my life. See how far I get. Yeah, House of the Dead remake looks great. The Lego Star Wars
Oh
Skywalker
yes,
saga.
another big one.
Very interested to see where that goes. Just for nostalgia's sake, but I recently read I don't think it has online multiplayer. It's only local. So it might be a detriment to some, but I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. It actually, based on gameplay, it kind of looks a little bit like Battlefront 2, like the newest one. That just might be, I don't know, my perspective looking at it, but it looks a bit like it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what about you, Finance? Any games this week that people should have their eye on or pick up or add to their backlog, if you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm gonna mention this one first. Slipstream.
Slipstream. That looks interesting. It looks real fun,
I mean,
actually.
it looks like such an homage to like old classic like Nintendo racers. If you've seen it, if you've seen this game in action, it very much looks like an old Nintendo game like brought to the new generation. If
Oh
you
yeah.
remember, yeah,
Oh yeah.
it,
That one game.
Turbo Racing is the one I was
Run,
thinking
run,
of.
Run off, or it's that Sega game. Let me look it up real quick. But keep going.
Oh yeah, no, I was just thinking Turbo Racing was like the game that like it really reminds me back of it reminds me of back on the NES. Um, so yeah, that one looks really fun. I hope it like if it is like those older games, like it just controls a little bit better and has those like kind of like quality of life improvements, maybe checkpoints or something.
No,
Because
Outrun. That
uh,
that's the Sega game I'm thinking of. Outrun.
okay, I'm gonna have to check that out after.
Yeah.
But yeah, very much Slipstream is one that I'm like curious about, just because it does look so retro, and it's a new game. Other than that, Chrono Cross, big time. big time Chrono Cross. Even though I'm sad that this isn't the Chrono Trigger brought to the new generation of consoles. Yeah, Chrono Cross was just such an excellent RPG. Just yeah, and it's one of those things like we've been talking about this kind of all episode, but just video game preservation. This game isn't accessible anywhere. Unless you have an old console. And I'm sure you can emulate it or it has been emulated places, but like even it's not accessible on any of mine. But I'm sure I could download it. But yeah, I mean, so I'm just so happy that this game is being brought back and it's being up-resed. So you have a better experience. Like I enjoyed Final Fantasy VII so much when when they brought it to like iPad and then they brought it to like the new consoles, and I can like do like the speed throughs and I can do unlimited limit breaks and just like power through the game and just like kind of like have fun with it. I enjoyed it so much more. Like, and back in the day I enjoyed it, but then like just playing like an old game, that has like some of those like aspects that are kind of rough around the edges, brought to a new generation with like those improvements is great. And it like same thing with like the Cowabunga collection, Justin. Like all those old Nintendo games, or not just Nintendo games, but all those old Turtles games, just having it brought to a new generation to where it is accessible on new consoles and new generation, it just makes me happy. So I'm super excited about Chrono Cross. Other than that, yeah, I mean, I have like all the Lego Star Wars games just because they've like all gone on sale at some point, and they're like super cheap to get. Like I think I bought the last one I bought was like Harry Potter, like and I bought the full collection for like $4. And I love those games. I just have so many of them now that like I never play them, but they're all so good. So I'm really curious to see what they bring with that one. And I won't necessarily wait for it to go on sale. It probably won't be a day one pickup either. But I think the Lego games are just so excellent. It needs honorable mention for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of these games that are coming out this week are going to be day one pickups for me, but definitely, I'll keep my eye out on the show when that goes on sale, and then Slipstream also, like Finance was saying, looks really good, and I'd probably pick up Chrono Cross, just for collection purposes. I don't think I'd have time to really dip into it right now, but I mean, it's definitely good to see that that game is being revitalized, and a lot of fans out there would be very happy about it. Now let's see what they could do with Chrono Trigger.
One day.
One day. I was surprised they didn't even put Chrono Trigger on the SNES Classic. It's just weird.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts before we close this episode, guys? Final thoughts on anything? Anything I missed? Anything we should have talked about that we didn't?
Yeah, I'm sure there is, but
we'll probably talk about it next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next week.
All right, so definitely, Max, once again, thank you for joining us on this episode of the Game & Watch podcast. Hopefully you come back. And
thank you for having me.
You've been great, man. We really appreciate it. And for Max, for Finest, Review Gaming OVG, this is Justin, aka Too Tall for You Fool, saying thank you for watching or listening to episode 82 of the Game & Watch podcast. Tune in next week for another great episode, and follow us on social media. Check out the show notes. We will see you all later. Thank you.
Peace, y'all.
Bye.